Hello everyone, welcome back to another Site006 video. Today's video, we are going to be doing entity information, as you saw in the title of the video. Pretty much what I mean by that is we are going to be going one by one to every entity chamber. I'm going to be explaining what class they are, what clearance you need to access them, details about them, and I'm going to be giving some lore behind them. I will have timestamps in the description of the video, so if there's a specific entity you are looking for more information on, you can skip to the video now. Let's get straight into this. The first entity on our review is Entity 18. Entity 018 resembles a standard house lamp, measuring approximately 10 studs in height, and when a subject pulls the cord on 018, the room will be flooded in light, and anyone near the lamp will be transported to 018 dimension. Entity 018's cord can be pulled more than once to turn the entity off, and then Entity 018 requires an external power source to be turned on. Thus, an internal power grid is maintained specifically for 018. Some more information on 018's dimension. 018's dimension is a large cave system with basic grass growing at certain points. The surface of this dimension is filled with ruined articles, pillars, and large gates that require tablets. A note can be found inside of 018's dimension, and it reads as follows. Anders log, December 31st, 1999. It has been over an hour now inside of this place. The scientists promised me that they wouldn't transfer me to a nice facility if I volunteered for a single test. With some weird object they recovered, I was told to bring this journal and a few pens and write down observations until they extracted me from this place. All I did was turn on a lamp, and I found myself here. Voices in my head telling me to prepare to meet the Lord. If God can hear me, please help me out of here. It is very dark and I'm scared. I want to leave, God. I'll be a good man, I promise. Just show me the light, O Lord. I can't take it anymore. I don't want to go back to that place. That company. I cannot. Show me the light, I'm begging you. It's been hours. I can't tell you. I've been wandering. I came upon a larger cave chamber. The one I started in all these days? I cannot tell. The Lord refuses me his light, and I cannot see except for that. Shimmering above, the outside, I think. I need light to get out of here. Please help me, God. I know the light. God, show me it. Another object can be found in the lower levels of 018's dimension, known as the tablet. It is used to open an exit gate and contains bright text that is backwards. This note can be found in the lower levels of 018's dimension, and it reads as follows. Know that way which one tablet of our gracious one, and spread the word of rich. Let his tablet be the key necessary to open one door and guide these lost souls. Now yourself. Before we move on, the last thing is 018 does require a keycard level of Class C, meaning all Innovation Department members have access. Next on our list, we have Entity 014, also known as the Nightmare Box. Entity ID 014, threat level yellow, keycard level Class C. Storage details. Entity 014 is contained in a standard size containment unit in the entity area of Site-006. Like most yellow entities, Entity 014 cannot be breached on its own and does not pose a threat to more than one person at a time. Entity 014 is a corrugated cardboard box with 2 eye holes crudely cut into its front. Entity 014 is currently not available to test on in Site-006 due to multiple malfunctions. Some commonly noted effects from the Innovation Department is the box is large enough for a person to wear it upon their head effortlessly, although It's unknown why the box itself can stay perfectly in place when a person is wearing it. While wearing Entity 014, there has been notes of whispers being heard. It is unknown what caused these whispers and sounds to emanate from Entity 014 at the moment. It has been reported that people who do not wear Entity 014 can hear the sounds it makes, ranging from the sounds of whispers to unknown growls for around 30 seconds on some occasions, although these people do not suffer from Entity 014's effect. Those who wear Entity 014 struggle to remove it. Outside efforts to remove Entity 014 are typically useless. Those who wear Entity 014 reportedly hear whispers in unidentified languages from inside the box, as well as see monsters inside of the corner of their eyes. It's unknown if these monsters are separate entities or just a side effect of Entity 014. Those who wear Entity 014 will die after approximately 3 minutes of exposure. Interaction with freezing temperatures reduces survival time. As mentioned earlier, Entity 014 requires a keycard level of Class C, meaning all Innovation Department members are allowed to test on them. Next on our list, we have Entity 006, also known as the Shadow. Entity ID 006, threat level orange. Keycard level Class B. Entity 006 is stored in a standard size containment cell in the entity area of Site 006. The containment cell comes filled with ultraviolet lights and a button on the outside that activates the UV lights. At least one member of TFD, also known as the Crazies, is to be within the general vicinity of Entity 006 containment cell. Upon a breach of this entity, the testing party is to evacuate immediately, and TFD, the Crazies, is to recontain the entity. An increased threat level is to be declared at the entity area until Entity 006 is recontained. Due to Entity 006 requiring a keycard level of Class B, Entity 006 can be accessed by only members of the Innovation Department ranked Innovator or above. Some more information on Entity 006. Entity 006 is a hostile humanoid entity that is nearly invisible to the naked eye and can only be seen with the assistance of ultraviolet lights. It is also nearly impossible to acquire a clear photo of Entity 006. Entity 006 is able to move at the speed of 2.2 meters per second. However, it may pick up its pace if it's being attacked. It should also be noted that Entity 006 slows down if subject to extremely low temperatures. The appearance of Entity 006 has been described as a naked black humanoid missing its head and lacking any other features. Entity 006 is extremely hostile and will attack any humanoids it finds. Its method of attack is biting, and it will ruthlessly attack and maul its target until it stops moving or dies. For those without night vision goggles, Entity 006 displays shadows on the nearest wall, which allows those who do not have night vision goggles to locate its possible. More notably, a shadow showing Entity 006 head is visible. However, Entity 006 does not physically have a head. Like other mobile entities at Site 006, Entity 006 shows basic intelligence and is able to use its invisibility to its advantage. Entity 006 is not difficult to contain, as it has a threat in areas with dense vegetation. As such, most breaches are uneventful and do not end up in many casualties. Some more notes about Entity 006. When Entity 006 is frozen, It appears as a blue frozen humanoid missing its head. When Entity 006 comes into contact with the freezer, its speed reduces to approximately half. Entity 006's shadows also appear as an iced rectangle. However, Entity 006 is strangely not affected by Entity 002, which we will have more information on soon. The entity is very difficult to track without the use of UV lights, giving Entity 006 an advantage against most individuals. The entity is extremely hostile and attacks any humanoids it finds, including humanoid entities. As observed in multiple breaches, Entity 006 shows hostility to Entity 007, Entity 008, Entity 009, and Entity 005. Next on our list, we have Entity 007, also known as the Man of Bricks. Entity ID 007, threat level, orange, keycard level, class B. Entity 007 is stored within a standard containment unit located at Site 006. The standard containment unit is filled with a portion of brick flooring. Entity 007 has been relocated to the temporarily anomalous containment in Site 006. Entity 007 may move to a new containment chamber in the future, but that has yet to be done yet. A description of Entity 006 is a humanoid entity composed entirely of bricks and appears to be headless. Entity 007 is able to move roughly at a speed of 0.6 meters per second. Entity 007 is mostly neutral, however, it may become hostile upon being damaged by firearms or if a subject interacts with it for extended periods of time. Some more notes about Entity 007 is subjects who come in contact with Entity 007 become infected, and as such are designated as Entity 0071, as they exhibit abnormal properties. The effect will often fatigue Entity 0071 instances, decreasing mobility, but however, it is not fatal. Entity 007 will become aggressive when shown hostility, thus relentlessly pursuing the hostile until they are dead. Entity 0071 will begin to suffer from red discoloration of the skin, after which anything attached to Entity 007-1, such as clothing or armor, will begin to take on the same discoloration and brick effect. If Entity 007 continues to make contact with Entity 007 will eventually kill them by what is assumed turning their organs into bricks. Innovation Department members, rank Innovator Plus, may test on Entity 007 with a Class B clearance. Next on our list, we have Entity 008, also known as the Thrall virus. Entity ID 008, threat level, red, keycard level, Class A+. Entity 008 is an airborne contagion of green coloration emitted from the pipeline. It is contained within individuals who ingest or inhale the gas will be designated as Entity 008-1 and will take the immediate effects from Entity 008. This is considered to be one of the most dangerous entities contained in Site 006. Some common effects noted from the Innovation Department are all personnel infected by Entity 008, unless it is a testing scenario, are subject to termination, regardless of class. It has been noted that Entity 008-1 instances seem to be more resilient than normal and have a tendency to survive wounds otherwise fatal to the normal human being. After 2 minutes, entity 008-1 seems to recover, and its condition rapidly improves. If the subject is well disciplined, they will refrain from spreading entity 008 and can stay quite docile. Upon perishing, the entity 0081 instance will emit a growl. It is likely that this is caused by entity 008 escaping its corpse. After 3 minutes of this recovery, however, the entity 008-1 instances will succumb the entity 008's effect and perish. Entity 008-1 instances, depending on their mental stability, have a tendency to interact with or attack others around them, thus spreading entity 008 further. Due to the nature of entity 008 breaches when testing is common. As mentioned earlier, entity 008, also known as the Thrall virus, requires a class clearance of A+, which Expert Innovator Plus may test on. Next on our list, we have entity 009, also known as the Mage. Entity ID 009, threat level red. Keycard level class A+. Entity 009 is kept in a standard containment room at Site 006. Entity 009 is compatible of utilizing his orbs as projectiles when he yells magic before launching an attack onto a player. Entity 009 is a human male wearing a wizard costume with several green orbs surrounding him at all times. Entity 009 can control these orbs by unknown means. Entity 009's orbs are designated as Entity 009-1, although it's unknown if these are separate entities harnessed by Entity 009 or they are caused by Entity 009's anomalous abilities. One anomalous effect of Entity 009 is the ability to spawn camp TS. Entity 009 is believed to be compatible of speech, however, has not spoken to any research personnel. Some notes made by the Innovation Department is Entity 009 is often referred to by nickname Marcus. Entity 009 possesses incredible intelligence, which explains the usage of Entity 009-1. Entity 009 can be affected by Entity 002, causing their orbs to turn ice blue, though this may just be Site 006. Entity 009's orbs will often change to the color orange. It is unknown why that is. Entity 009 is hostile to all players, though this is exclusive to Site 006. It has been proven that Entity 009 can breach containment easily due to their hostility. As mentioned earlier, Entity 009 requires the keycard level of Class A+, meaning members of the Innovation Department, Expert Innovator, and higher may test on Entity 009. Next on our list, we have Entity 013, also known as the Blood Crystals. Entity ID 013, threat level red. Keycard level access, Class A+. Entity 013 is contained in a small containment chamber in the entity area of Site 006. Entity 013, otherwise known as the Blood Crystals, is currently located in Site 006 temporarily anomalous containment. E013's infections spread through direct contact with any of the crystals. Infected individuals are designated as Entity 013-1, and are to be terminated on site unless otherwise instructed by a member of the Innovation Department. Some notes made by the Innovation Department are: any new instances of Entity 013's crystals can be shot and destroyed. Entity 013's infection spreads through direct contact with any of the crystals infected. Individuals are designated as 013-1 and are to be terminated on site unless otherwise instructed by a member of the Innovation Department. While the conditions are not yet known, during mass 013-1 outbreaks, Entity 013 is capable of spreading onto facility walls and floors, creating new infection sources. Upon death, corpses of 013-1 have a chance of leaving an infected body that has 60 hit points and infects anyone who comes into contact, and which these corpses have a high chance of spawning. Entity 004 is compatible of dispensing 013 and, upon consumption, turn the consumer into a 013-1 instance. Next on our list, we have Entity 004, also known as the vending machine. Entity ID 004, threat level, green, keycard level, class C, meaning all Innovation members may test. Entity 004 is contained in a standard size containment unit in the entity area of Site 006. Entity 004 is a modern vending machine in the color red. It is approximately 7 studs in height and is stationed at Site 006. Entity 004 is able to dispense a large majority of drinks at the cost of credits. Credits can be earned by depositing a soul or a life. Subjects depositing souls report color vanishing from their vision. Depositing a soul twice by the same person is not possible. Depositing a life adds more credits, however, terminates the subject. The drinks the vending machine is able to dispense is liquid air, 1 credit, no effects, and prompts the text, didn't taste anything. Liquid nitrogen, 1 credit, no effects, prompts the text, didn't taste anything. Coffee, 1 credit, no effect. Just wood, 1 credit, no effects. Coal, 1 credit, no effects. Lacks a drinking sound. Lemonade, 1 credit, no effects. Prompts multiple varying texts. Coke, 1 credit, no effects. Coconut, 1 credit, no effects. Liquid metal, 1 credit, no effects. Candy, 1 credit, prompts the text, very sweet indeed. Color, 1 credit, no effects. Bone marrow, 1 credit, no effects. Power, 1 credit, no effects. Liquid friendship, 1 credit, no effects. Diamond, 1 credit, no effects. Banana, 1 credit, no effects. Concrete, 1 credit, no effects. Bookworm, 1 credit, no effects. Charcoal, 1 credit, no effects. Cloth, 1 credit, no effects. Red, 1 credit, no effects. This drink requires further testing. Cloth, 1 credit. Prompts the text, another fantastic taste. Cauliflower, 1 credit, no effects. Antarctica, 5 credits. Teleports the user to the glacier advertisement at the site entrance. Quick revive, 5 credits. Increase the regeneration speed. Cure, 25 credits. Full heal, Does not cure infections. Heal, 10 credits. Heals the user by 10% per sip. Health, 15 credits. Heals player, amount not tested yet. Medicine, 7 credits. Heals players, amount not tested yet. Juggernog, 10 credits. Gives the user 25 hit points per sip. Prompts the text, "You feel stronger." It also has a 1 out of 5 chance of killing the user, prompting the text, "It was too much for you." Important note: the Jugger and Juggernog must be capitalized while ordering for it to work. Void of space, 1 credits. Makes the surrounding area of the consumer dark, prompts the text, "Where is everyone?" and "So very dark." 002, 2 credits. Affects the user with entity 002. Liquid death, 1 credit. Kills user, prompts text, "Get ready to meet him." 013, 5 credits. Infects user with 013 while granting armor. N/A, 1 credits. Kills user, prompts the text, "You feel empty inside." Instant regret, 1 credit. Kills user, prompts the text, "It isn't your fault." Acid, 1 credit. Kills user 5 seconds after consumption. Edgy, 1 credit. Damage player to 1 hit point. Prompts the text, "Life itself just hurts." Cut, 1 credit. Damages player by 10% of their HP. Electricity, 1 credit. Sets health points to 1 and turns player skin yellow. As mentioned earlier, Entity 004 requires a keycard level of Class C+, meaning all innovation members are able to test. Next on our list, we have Entity 003, also known as the Meta Perspective TV. Entity ID 003, threat level green, keycard level Class C+. Entity 003 is a 110-inch flat screen television that projects a live feed of a subject's perspective. The reason why Entity 003 can produce a meta perspective view based on the viewer's sight and Entity's full capabilities is currently unknown. However, testing has shown that if a person were to view Entity 003 through a camera, what they would see would be their vision rather what the person with the camera would see. Entity 003 contains an unknown energy source that allows the entity to remain online without external aid. There are no visible ports that can support an external connection between the entity and a foreign object. It should be noted that any dropped items that the viewer may see will not appear on Entity 003's screen. Entity 003 provides 4 buttons, 1 blue button on its bottom left, with white, red, and green buttons located on the bottom right. The buttons can be pressed, each resulting in their respective effects. Generally, Entity 003 is classified as an optic hazard due to its effects on one's sight. Pressing the entity's buttons can cause the following to happen. Pressing the red button makes the viewer's sight blink approximately 3 times before halting. Pressing the color button makes your vision red. Pressing it a second time makes it green. Pressing it a third time makes it blue, and pressing it a 4th time reverts to color effects. Entity 003 effects have priority over other entity visual effects such as Entity 008, showing that its visual effects specifically take more priority in spite of the fact that the Entity 008 and Entity 002 are biological. Pressing the white button makes the viewer transport to a location known as Entity 006-2. Pressing the connection button promptly kills the viewer. As mentioned earlier, Entity 003 requires a keycard level of Class C or higher, meaning all innovation members are able to test. Next on our list, we have Entity 011, also known Picture of Drowning. Entity ID 011, threat level, yellow. Keycard level, Class C and higher. Entity 011 is contained in a medium-sized containment chamber, outlifted with a pool and a bridge to the entity itself. It is in the entity area of Site 006. Entity 011 cannot be breached itself and can be left unguarded with no consequences. Entity 011 is a picture that is hung on a mount in the center of its containment chamber. The picture itself is a deception of a person drowning, trying to pull themselves out of the picture. Notes made by the Innovation Department. The effects of Entity 011 only apply to those who observe it in person. Observing it through a camera does not trigger its effects. If Entity 011 is approached within 6, the approaching individual will begin to hear the sounds of water moving. Additionally, the individual's sight will begin to gradually darken, with conventional lighting having no effect on this. Those who are under the effects of Entity 011 will begin to drown even if they are on land. The effects of Entity 011 are extremely similar to the phenomenon, as the lungs will fill with fluid and the victim will no longer be able to breathe. Anyone who looks at Entity 011 can live on average for about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. As mentioned earlier, Entity 011 requires a keycard level of Class C or higher, meaning all innovation members are able to test on it. Next on our list, we have Entity 002, the Verglass virus. Entity ID 002, threat level, yellow. Keycard level, Class C. Entity 002 is in a large containment chamber in the entity area of Site 006. Entity 002 is a large contraption consisting of one transparent cylinder connected to a dispersing mechanism. Within the cylinder holds what appears to be a blue fluid. Entity 002 is capable of producing an unlimited and consistent flow of Entity 002-1, which is a blue gas. Some notes made by the Innovation Department. Entity 002 has been shown to weaken Entity 009 and possibly negate its effects for the time it is active, making Entity 009's orbs a solid blue color and causing Entity 009 to be unable to do any form of physical damage to its targets. It should be noted that while Entity 002 forms ice, fire does not affect its infection. Entity 002 has also been shown to possibly weaken other entities such as Entity 007 and Entity 007-1. and Entity 005 for the time it is active. Entity 002 has also had effects in breath and stamina. Entity 009 breaches being used in flamethrower canisters and the Crazy's arsenal will not affect Entity 002's effects. Once a person inhales Entity 002-1, they will begin to suffer discoloration in the skin, followed by extreme chills. After around 30 plus seconds of exposure, the subject will suffer hypothermia, if a severe degree, alongside a thin layer of ice covering their skin and clothes. Soon the skin will become brittle in a way similar to glass. This soon kills the test subject. Subjects who have been affected by Entity 007 can survive Entity 002-1's effects, although it is believed that Entity 002-1 may make Entity 007-1 instances weaker. Entity 002-2 seems to create a deadly combo when mixed with Entity 013, creating one of the fastest kill times for infection entities. Entity 013, rather than weakening it or simply overpowers, Entity 013 and its victims kill before Entity 002 can. As mentioned earlier, Entity 002 requires a keycard level of Class C or and higher, meaning all innovation members are able to test on Entity 002. Well, guys, I hope you did enjoy the video. This took me forever getting all the information. I know there's a few words in there I accidentally mispronounced, but you got to realize how long this took me, and that's why. I've been reading wikis, going through the Discord server, just finding all this information for you guys, and all this is the real information. I didn't make anything up. This is one-on-one from the main official Discord server from Nova Corporation and from official wikis and stuff like that. I hope y'all did enjoy. I'm pretty sure I did every single entity, and what was difficult actually is right at entity 013, if you'll notice when that guard came up, that whole time I was in a private server, but halfway through entity 013, you'll notice I'm in the chamber and then I teleport out. That is because they shut down the servers for the new update, the Uprising event. So I had to switch to a main server because private servers are no longer working for some reason for me. It might just be a loading glitch. But pretty much, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. This video's been long enough. I hope y'all did enjoy. Please like and subscribe for all my effort of this video. As I said earlier, timestamps were left in the bottom. So if there's any entities you want to go back over, or if you ever want to return to this video, timestamps are left. I hope y'all did enjoy, and I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.